Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy my new stories every day. It was an unremarkable Tuesday evening when I first noticed the changes in Barbara. The air was thick with the scent of autumn, and the leaves were beginning to carpet the ground in shades of gold and crimson. I came home from work, expecting the familiar warmth of our small house, but instead, I was greeted by a silence that felt unsettling. "Barbara?" I called out, but only the echo of my voice answered. The house was dimly lit, the curtains drawn tight as if to hide whatever had transformed within our once inviting home. I wandered into the living room, where I found her favorite chair empty. That was when I noticed the first sign, the array of black clothes draped over the backrest. My heart sank. I brushed my fingers over the fabric, a soft, flowing black dress, something I had never seen before. It was then that I caught sight of her in the mirror hanging in the hallway. The reflection revealed a startling image. She had dyed her hair a deep, sultry brunette, cascading over her shoulders in waves. It was as if a completely different person stared back at me, and yet, there was something familiar hidden within the new darkness. "Hey, you," I said, trying to mask the unease creeping into my voice. "I didn't recognize you." She turned, a smile dancing on her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just experimenting," she replied, a hint of something coy in her tone. "What do you think?" I hesitated. "It's different." "You look good, but," I trailed off, uncertain how to express the unsettling shift in her demeanor. "Don't worry about it," she laughed lightly, brushing it off. But as the days passed, her transformation deepened. Black became her staple, her closet now filled with dark hues and gothic accents. The laughter that used to fill our home slowly faded, replaced by the silence that wrapped around her like a shroud. One evening, the weight of unease became unbearable, pushing me to search for answers. I left for work early the next day, feigning an errand so I could return home unexpectedly. As I entered the house, a strange noise caught my attention, muffled laughter and soft, seductive whispers. My heart raced as I followed the sound down the hallway to our bedroom. I pushed the door open, my breath hitching in my throat at the sight before me. There, in our bed, was Barbara, her back arched in pleasure, a man, tall, with long black hair and painted lips, between her thighs. He was the embodiment of everything I had come to despise about her new lifestyle, a goth with a devil-may-care attitude, lost in the throes of passion with my wife. Time seemed to freeze as I stood there, shocked into silence. My stomach twisted, rage boiling beneath the surface. How could she betray me like this? The image of their entwined bodies burned into my mind, a permanent reminder of her betrayal. "Barbara!" I finally shouted, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. She turned, wide-eyed, a mix of shock and guilt flooding her features as she realized I had caught her in the act. "John! I didn't mean for you to see this," she stammered, scrambling to cover herself. "You didn't mean for me to see? You mean you didn't think it was wrong?" I spat, my fists clenching at my sides, fighting against the urge to lash out. "I was just exploring myself." "I thought you'd be okay with it," she trailed off, but I couldn't hear her excuses over the roaring anger in my ears. "Exploring yourself? With him?" I pointed at the man, who smirked at me from the bed. What a fucking joke. The confrontation spiraled into chaos. I unleashed all the pent-up frustration and hurt that had built since Barbara's transformation. Each word felt like a dagger aimed at her heart, but she had already made her choice. In the aftermath, I walked out, my mind racing with thoughts of revenge. She had shattered my trust, my marriage, and the very essence of our life together. As I slammed the door behind me, I felt an unexpected resolve form in my chest. I would not let this betrayal define me. Barbara had changed for him, and in the process, she had lost everything that made her my wife. I would ruin her destiny just as she had ruined ours. Divorce was only the beginning. The days turned into weeks, and as I planned my revenge, I could almost feel the taste of victory on my lips. I would watch her downfall unfold, piece by piece, and savor each moment of her regret. The intrigue was just beginning, and I was determined to see it through to the end. The days following my discovery felt like a blur. I moved through the motions of life, but inside, I was a storm of emotions, anger, betrayal, and an insatiable need for revenge. Barbara had crossed a line, and I was determined to make her understand the gravity of her actions. It started with a simple idea. I needed to gather evidence, something that would force her to face the reality of what she had done. I grabbed my phone and began to document everything I could find. Photos of her new style, the late nights, the strange men I saw lurking around our neighborhood. Each image felt like a small victory, a step closer to the reckoning I envisioned. One evening, I decided to confront Barbara directly. I needed to see her reaction when I laid the evidence out before her. My heart raced as I returned home from work, knowing this moment would be pivotal. The air felt thick with tension, as if the very walls were aware of the impending confrontation. I walked into the living room, where Barbara was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She glanced up, and a flash of something crossed her face: fear? Guilt? I couldn't tell, but it fueled my resolve. "Barbara," I said, my voice steady but low. "We need to talk." Her eyes narrowed slightly, suspicion creeping into her demeanor. "About what?" "I thought we were done with this." "About your new lifestyle," I replied, watching as her expression shifted from irritation to defensiveness. "And the man you've been seeing." "What are you talking about?" she shot back, her tone laced with disbelief. "You're just being paranoid." "Paranoid?" I echoed, crossing my arms over my chest. "You think I'm paranoid? Let's see how paranoid you are when I show you these." I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the photos I had collected. "You think changing your style is going to hide what you're doing? You think I wouldn't notice the long-haired goth lurking around our house?" "John, put that away," she snapped, but I could see her resolve weakening. "I won't. You need to face this, Barbara. You're living a lie, and it's about time you admit it." I flicked through the images until I found one of her laughing with the man, a moment that felt intimate, private. I held it up for her to see. "Is this what you want? Is this who you want to be?" She looked at the photo, her expression shifting from defiance to shame. "That's not." "It is. You're in bed with him, and you want to pretend it's nothing. This is your life now." My voice rose, the anger spilling over. "What happened to us? What happened to our life?" "I was trying to find myself, John," she argued, standing up now, her hands clenched into fists. "I felt trapped, and you? And you thought cheating was the answer?" I interrupted, incredulous. "You think this is finding yourself? You're destroying everything we built together." Barbara opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat. For a moment, we stood there, locked in a silent battle, our shared memories flooding back, the laughter, the love, the promise of forever. But those memories were tainted now, overshadowed by her betrayal. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the flicker of guilt battling with the defiance she had built up around herself. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she finally admitted, her voice softer, almost vulnerable. "Then what did you think would happen?" I shot back, my heart racing as the adrenaline surged through me. "Did you think I would just sit back and accept this? That you could have him and me too?" Her eyes narrowed again, a flash of anger igniting her features. "You're being unreasonable. This is my life. And that's the problem." I shouted, my frustration boiling over. "You've made it all about you while I'm left picking up the pieces. Do you even care about what this is doing to me?" She opened her mouth as if to respond but then closed it again, a mix of emotions crossing her face. Finally, she seemed to deflate, her shoulders slumping slightly. "What do you want from me, John?" "I want you to understand the consequences of your choices," I said, my tone softer now. I want you to realize that this isn't just a phase or an exploration. You're throwing away everything we had for a fleeting thrill." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and for a moment, I thought I might break through. "Maybe we can talk about this, figure it out," she suggested hesitantly. I stepped closer, locking eyes with her. "There's nothing to figure out, Barbara. I can't trust you anymore. You've chosen your path." I let the weight of my words hang in the air before continuing, "I want a divorce." The silence that followed felt like a lifetime. Her expression shifted from disbelief to heartbreak as the reality of my declaration sunk in. "You don't mean that," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I do," I replied, my heart aching but resolute. "You've made your choice, and now it's time for me to make mine. I'll ruin your life just as you've ruined ours. You may have found a new identity, but I'm taking back mine." With that, I turned and walked out, the heavy weight of finality hanging in the air. I could almost taste the bitterness of revenge on my tongue. This was only the beginning, and I felt a surge of satisfaction knowing that the next phase of my plan was set in motion. I would watch her world crumble, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the emptiness of her choices. The intrigue had only begun, and I would savor every moment of her downfall. The days that followed my confrontation with Barbara were a whirlwind of emotions. I settled into a routine filled with work, gym sessions, and late-night brainstorming about how to execute my revenge. But I was careful, no rash decisions. I needed a plan, something that would strike deep and hit hard, a way to ensure she felt the weight of her betrayal. I began by gathering information. It wasn't hard, the whispers of her new lifestyle echoed through our social circles. Friends who used to be ours slowly began to choose sides, some reaching out to me in concern while others, including Barbara's closest friends, rallied around her, feeding her excuses. One evening, I received a message from Claire, a mutual friend who had been closer to Barbara. The text was simple yet laden with concern. "Hey, I know things are rough right now. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here." I stared at my phone, debating whether to reply. But as I considered her offer, an idea began to form. What if I used the very people Barbara relied on against her? I typed a quick response, "Can you meet me? I need to know what's going on." Claire agreed to meet me at a local coffee shop, and I prepared myself for the conversation, knowing it would be crucial to my plan. When I arrived, I spotted her sitting at a table by the window, stirring her coffee absently, a frown etched across her brow. "Hey, thanks for meeting me," I said, sliding into the chair opposite her. "Of course," Claire replied, her eyes darting around nervously. "I've been worried about you. How are you holding up?" I shrugged, trying to play it cool despite the storm brewing inside me. "I'm okay. Just trying to figure things out after everything." She nodded, glancing down at her coffee. "Barbara told me she's been exploring herself. I didn't realize it had gone this far." "Exploring?" I scoffed. "More like destroying. She's with some goth guy now, God knows what he's promising her." I leaned in closer, lowering my voice. "Have you seen her lately? This isn't just a phase for her. She's changed completely." Claire looked conflicted. "She told me you were being unreasonable, that you didn't understand." "Understand what?" I leaned back, crossing my arms. "That she's chosen to throw away our marriage for a fantasy. I need you to help me, Claire. What do you know about her and this guy?" She hesitated, biting her lip. "I've seen them together a few times. He's different, you know. Dark, mysterious." Barbara seemed infatuated. "But I didn't think it would lead to this." "Infatuation doesn't last," I said, my tone turning cold. "But it can lead to consequences. I want you to help me make sure she understands what she's done." Claire looked shocked, her eyes wide. "John, what do you mean?" "Listen, I need you to keep an eye on her. If you can find out more about this guy, where they go, what they do, I can use it against her. I want her to see what her choices have cost us." She hesitated, but I could see the wheels turning in her mind. "I don't know, John. This sounds extreme." "It's just a way to show her the truth," I insisted, lowering my voice to keep the other patrons from overhearing. "You know she needs it. I can't just walk away while she destroys everything we built." Finally, after a moment that felt like an eternity, Claire nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll see what I can do. But you need to be careful. This could blow up in your face." "Trust me, I've thought it through," I replied, the adrenaline surging through me. "I just need to get to her before it's too late." As I left the coffee shop, I felt a rush of anticipation. The pieces were falling into place, and the plan to confront Barbara again with concrete evidence was shaping up nicely. Later that week, I received a message from Claire. "I saw Barbara with him at a bar downtown last night. I'll keep you posted." I felt a mix of satisfaction and anger as I read her message. This was it, the opportunity one had been waiting for. That night, I decided to follow them. It was time to witness the betrayal firsthand. I parked a few blocks away from the bar and watched as Barbara and her lover arrived, their silhouettes cutting through the dim streetlights. My heart raced as I recognized the goth look, the long hair, the painted lips. He was everything I detested, and yet there was something magnetic about the way he carried himself, something that clearly captivated Barbara. They entered the bar, and I followed, positioning myself in a corner where I could see them without being noticed. The atmosphere was thick with smoke and laughter, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. I watched as they shared intimate whispers, her laughter ringing out like a haunting melody. Each chuckle felt like a knife twisting deeper into my heart. My anger flared as I saw him lean in, his lips brushing against her ear, drawing a shiver of delight from her. "Look at you, Barbara," I muttered under my breath, my hands clenched into fists. "You think this is love? This is nothing but a game." I pulled out my phone, snapping a few pictures of them together, capturing the moment I knew would soon lead to her downfall. With every click, I envisioned the confrontation that would follow, a moment where I would finally expose her for who she had become. But as the night wore on, I found myself grappling with conflicting emotions. The thrill of revenge surged alongside a deeper sense of loss. This was the woman I had loved, and now here she was, wrapped up in someone else's embrace, throwing away our life together as if it meant nothing. Eventually, Barbara and her goth lover made their way to the bar, ordering drinks and laughing together. The bartender slid 2 glasses in front of them, and I watched as she took a sip, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "Soon, you'll see," I murmured to myself, my heart racing. "You will understand the cost of this choice." With a final snap of my phone, I left the bar, my resolve solidified. The confrontation would come, and when it did, Barbara would know the full extent of my retribution. As I walked away, I felt a mix of exhilaration and despair, knowing the storm was only beginning. The intrigue hung in the air, and I was ready for the next phase of my plan to unfold. The night of the confrontation loomed closer, and I could hardly contain my excitement mixed with dread. Armed with the evidence Claire had helped me gather, I felt a sick sense of anticipation wash over me. I had spent countless hours imagining the moment when Barbara would have no choice but to face the truth about her betrayal and the life we once shared. The day arrived, heavy with clouds that seemed to echo my turmoil. I called Barbara, feigning casualness. "Hey, can we talk? I think we need to sort some things out." Her tone was defensive, yet curious. "About what?" "I thought we were done discussing our relationship." "I know, but this is important," I insisted, my heart racing. "Just meet me at the park where we used to go." After a moment's hesitation, she agreed, and I felt a surge of adrenaline course through me. This was it. I arrived at the park early, the trees swaying gently in the wind, creating an almost eerie atmosphere. Memories flooded my mind, laughter, joy, love, before the weight of betrayal overshadowed them all. When she finally arrived, her expression was guarded, her eyes scanning the area as if expecting danger. "What's this about, John?" she asked, crossing her arms over her chest defensively. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. "I want you to look at something." I pulled out my phone, the images of her and her lover ready to unveil. "This is what I've been talking about. This is who you've become." As I scrolled through the photos, I watched her expression shift from confusion to shock, and finally to anger. "You've been following me," she spat, her voice trembling with rage. "This is low, John." "Low?" I echoed, incredulity flooding my voice. "You've been sleeping with another man while I've been trying to hold our lives together. You've thrown everything away for him, and you call this low?" Her defiance crumbled as she processed the betrayal reflected in the images. I didn't think you'd ever find out. I thought we could just move on," she stammered, her bravado slipping. "Move on?" I laughed bitterly, my heart pounding in my chest. "This isn't just something you can brush aside, Barbara. You have to face the consequences of your actions." She looked at me, desperation filling her eyes. "I made a mistake. I thought I was lost, that I needed to find myself. Can't we fix this?" I shook my head, the cold resolve solidifying in my chest. "No. This is beyond fixing. You chose him. You chose this life over our marriage, and now you need to understand what that means." Suddenly, I felt a rush of satisfaction surge within me. This was the moment I had envisioned, the reckoning I had sought. "I'm going to make sure you remember this, Barbara. I'm going to make you feel the pain you've caused." Her eyes widened in horror as she began to realize the depth of my intentions. "What are you talking about?" "I've already taken steps to ruin everything you hold dear," I confessed, watching the realization dawn upon her. "I've shared these photos with your friends, your family. They'll know exactly who you are now. Your precious new identity. It's gone." "No. You wouldn't dare," she cried, her voice rising in panic. I stepped closer, my voice low and menacing. "I would. You see, Barbara, you've lost the right to expect kindness from me. I'm done being the one who gets hurt. You made your choice, and now it's my turn to make mine." "You're a monster," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "And you're a liar," I shot back, my heart racing with the thrill of power. "I hope you enjoy your new life with him, because it's about to come crashing down around you." Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, her goth lover, his presence filling the air with tension. "What's going on here?" he demanded, eyes narrowed at me. "Just discussing your girlfriend's betrayal," I sneered, taking a step back to include him in our confrontation. "I hope you're ready for the fallout, because it's coming fast." Barbara's face twisted with shock and anger, her world spiraling out of control. "You don't know what you're doing. You're ruining everything." I couldn't help but laugh at her desperation. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. This is the end of your fairy tale, Barbara. You wanted to live in darkness. Enjoy the consequences." The goth stepped forward, fists clenched. "You think you can intimidate her? She made her choices, just like you did." "Choices? Is that what you call it?" I shot back. "She chose to betray the vows we made, and now I'm going to show her how the world reacts to those choices." "Enough!" Barbara screamed, her voice breaking. "This isn't helping anything." I felt a pang of something resembling regret, but it was drowned out by the satisfaction of my revenge. "You don't get to tell me what's helping, Barbara. You've lost that privilege." The tension in the air felt electric as her lover turned to her, confusion mixing with anger. "Is this true? You've been playing both sides." Her silence was damning, and I could see the walls closing in on her. She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could utter a word, the reality of her betrayal settled over her like a dark cloud. "I can't believe you," he spat, taking a step back, his expression a mix of disbelief and rage. "I thought you were different. I thought you wanted something real." "Please, don't do this," Barbara pleaded, her voice shaking. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Don't do what?" I taunted, stepping back to allow her lover to process the situation. "You've led him on just as much as you've led me on. You're a master of deception." In that moment, her world shattered before her eyes. The facade she had built, the new identity she thought she could embrace, was stripped away. She stood there, exposed, surrounded by the wreckage of her choices. The goth turned and walked away, leaving her standing alone in the park, her sobs echoing in the silence. I felt a cruel sense of satisfaction watching the devastation unfold. "Goodbye, Barbara," I said coldly, knowing that this was the last time I would ever see her. "You brought this on yourself." As I turned to leave, I could hear her desperate cries behind me. But I didn't look back. I had taken my revenge, and in doing so, I had also closed the chapter on our relationship forever. In the end, it was not just betrayal that had severed our ties, it was the irrevocable destruction of trust and love. We had become strangers, no, enemies, united only by the memories of what once was, now tainted by the darkness we had each chosen. As I walked away, I felt a strange emptiness settle within me. It was done. The intrigue had come full circle, leaving only silence in its wake.